with the McFarlane Toys 1966 Batman line hitting stores, it's currently fall 2021 for those watching this video in the future, I thought it would be a good time to reflect on the history of Batman 1966 toys, because while the McFarlane toys are awesome, and I think they're doing actually a great job of getting this line to retail and doing some characters that haven't been done before, like alternate versions of Catwoman and Alfred, and, unmasked versions of Batman and Robin. There's a lot to explore with this property. But the McFarlane line is not the first toy line to do this. The first was Mattel, which is actually a little shocking because there weren't toys for Batman 1966, as the technical name of the brand is from a licensing standpoint, until 2013, 2014. I mean, that's a long time to wait. And the license didn't cover everything. In particular, it did not cover the movie. It only covered the TV show, which I have to say made my partner in crime, no pun intended, Bill Beneke, oh man, he was just not happy about that because he so wanted to do stuff from the 1966 Batman movie, especially the Bat shark repellent. This was like a dream toy of his, was to basically recreate this scene. And when he found out we didn't have rights to the movie, only the TV show, he was just like, no, dream gone. And yeah, it would have made a great Comic-Con item, wouldn't it? Although I did notice when they did the accessory pack, Bill found a way to kind of sneak those in there without actually calling it Bat shark repellent. This pack came out after I left Mattel, and I remember seeing it on shelf and thinking that. All right, enough about what we couldn't do. Let's talk about what we could do. So, yeah, when Mattel got the 1966 license on top of the already DC Universe license, this was a really cool expansion. And it meant doing a whole new line that could be sold at retail with really bright packaging that would ideally appeal to kids, appeal to collectors, and hey, it was a great way to get Batman, Robin, and a Batmobile on shelf again, because Batman is one of the best-selling toys. In fact, I kept the Batmobile. It's one of the few toys I not only kept, but still keep on display in my office as part of kind of a drag race that's going on underneath my desk. What can I say? I like to have fun with different vehicles and characters. You can see that. All right. Anyway, the line was fun. That was a great way to describe it. And we got to do some really, really fun toys. In particular, one of the ones that was great to work on was the Batman and Robin walking up the side of a building because, well, they did this in almost every episode. And we got to pack them out like this, which was really cool because how often do you do that? Usually figures get packed out and played with as they are, walking straight along. But since this toy was meant to recreate this shot from the TV series,
we're almost there.
Why are we walking like this?
Well, it was a unique opportunity. And much like the Batmobile, it's actually one of the other few Batman 1966 toys that I still have on display in my office. And I love the fact that the capes even had wires in them so you could pose them facing straight down as opposed to, just flopping on their backs. And yeah, great item. Even had the window that opened so you could have the guest star pop out if, that's what you wanted to do. All right, so how did we choose which characters got done? Because obviously the cast of the 1966 Batman show had a very big, robust selection. Well, like a lot of things that have to get decided in the toy industry, it was done with focus groups. Mattel does a lot of focus groups, a lot of testing with kids, testing with adults, testing with parents. They even do testing with collectors. And I think in all my time at Mattel, I'd never seen so much focus group testing done than on the Batman 1966 line. Maybe the Hot Wheels Star Wars line. That one had a lot of testing too. I'll do a video about that too, because that's a really interesting story. But big reason for doing so much testing on the Batman 1966 line before any tooling dollars were spent was because it was going to take so many tooling dollars, not to mention likeness rights, not to mention portrait sculpts. Basically, unlike something like DC Universe Classics or the Justice League Unlimited line, which could use shared bodies or what are called bucks. So a generic body is called a buck. And when you can just change things like heads, capes, or repaint a figure, well, that's a very inexpensive way of doing a toy line and a more economical way. When every single figure is 100% tooled, the Penguin can't be Riddler, Riddler can't be Batman. Every figure had to be fully tooled. So that meant you were investing a lot of money, which meant the figures had to sell really well, which meant the focus groups were needed to see, well, who are the characters fans are most interested in. And while every character on the show was tested, it always came back to kind of the top 10 characters, which is why the line wound up only being the top 10 characters. And I don't particularly remember why we went with Julie Newmar as Catwoman as opposed to, either of the two, either, Lee Merriweather or Eartha Kitt, but that's the one that got the green light. I think we were talking about doing head swaps, but unfortunately it never happened. Batgirl was also a big challenge because while she came up in the focus group testing a lot, she was, let's call it number 11 out of 10, and the commitment was just to make 10 figures because of the tooling, pending to see how year one did. If year one performed well, then more figures. But because she, was still very fan demanded, by releasing her first as a single figure at Comic-Con and then a 3-pack at Toys R Us, it helped spread the tooling dollars around. Personally, one of the coolest things for me was the fact that I got to meet and hang out with Adam West. He was brought into Mattel to what's called an all-hands meeting, when there's like a company-wide meeting, and usually they get some celebrities to come, sometimes like WWE superstars, things like that, to address everyone and rev everybody up and excite them. And because everyone in management knew I was a total comic book nerd, they let me dress up as Robin and actually go up on stage with Adam West and perform a little skit, which was amazing. I even got to hang out with him backstage.
So Adam, you're going to provide the voice of the mighty Spector?
You mean the one you created when you were a young man?
My own superhero, and you'll do the voice? Can you say, I'm the mighty Spector?
I'm the mighty Spector.
That was excellent. You have the part.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. All right, so the awesomeness continued. It was nonstop. We got to do Comic-Con items for this line. We got to do retail exclusives. And like I said, the line was just so much fun. Everything was fun. For Comic-Con, we did a Bat-Tusi version because it was relatively simple because it only took a few new parts. You could use a lot of shared parts from the basic Batman figure, but this time he had an action feature which let him dance. A lot of people know the Bat-Tusi mostly from Pulp Fiction. It's the same dance that John Travolta's character is doing, Vincent Vega. And Pulp Fiction remade the dance famous, it was started with Batman. And it was really cool to do a TV set themed box where Batman is dancing.
And how come Batman doesn't dance anymore?
And while dancing wasn't the thing Batman was known most for in the world, it was a big part of the show. And to really play up the 1966 concept, we worked with a specific artist who did a lot of 1966 inspired art and a lot of 1960s-ish inspired pop culture art. A lot of work for Disney, a lot of work for different companies over the year. Actually, a lot of work for Disney, even doing some of the old Disney maps. And this is Shag, who is an independent artist, and his style is just, very much on par. So it was great to get to work with him, too. I mean, so many dream opportunities with one toy line. It was amazing. Honestly, I'm so grateful for this. And there was an attempt to kind of do a crossover, much like the DC Motu Universe Classics, between Matty Collector and retail. The main line was at retail, but we wanted to really sort of dive deeper into the line on Matty Collector. The original idea was to do more obscure figures, but the tooling wasn't going to work. And actually, well, nothing worked. This was like one of the biggest, call it epic fails on Matty Collector that we ever did. Almost everything did great. But when we did these 1966 cosplay items, the cowl did okay. The cowl was really great. We actually got to see the real cowl from the show. I mean, obviously it's deteriorated a little bit, but to take measurements, to take, color samples. And again, Frank Varela, who did the packaging on this, as well as the Comic-Con item and the main line, just really went to town. And Bill Beneke, the designer, again, just made this such a passion project because it was a dream come true project for all of us to get to work on. And Bill, being especially a huge fan of the 66 show, was just like, I'm going to make this the best possible. And Frank made an amazing package that actually had the cowl on sort of like a little mannequin inside, so it stood upright and it could be displayed like that using some of the artwork from the animation. It looked great. It did, and it sold okay. But the partner item to this, which was the second cosplay item, was the Bat Belt. That came out a little bit afterwards. We led with the cowl and then the belt followed up, but both of them were greenlit at the same time. They both got their tooling approved at the same time, and they both started production at the same time. So we weren't able to sort of see how one did before greenlighting the other. It was sort of a twofer. And again, everyone went, to town with the box. And, we got permission to put Adam West on the box, which he wasn't on any of the other items. It was a big fold-out, sort of a diorama box that you could display the belt in package if that's what you wanted. And it even came with a Batarang, which was really cool because the whole joke was Batman on the show sort of always just pulls it out magically. You don't actually see him, storing it in any of the parts of the belt. Now, obviously, doing bat belts for kids has a long history in toys. At Mattel, at other toy companies, there's been Batman utility belts is almost an evergreen role-play item into itself. And when Mattel invests in tooling, just like I was talking about, they like to maximize it. So in particular, things like Batman's utility belt tends to get released over and over and over again in different Batman lines, just rebranded. But this time we were doing a bat belt for adults, and we wanted to make sure we got it exactly right. The idea was to create a one-to-one from what you saw on the show, and that included the belt buckle, having it really be made out of metal. Well, this item did not perform. I mean, it really didn't perform. And we could barely give this item away. We had to bundle it for sales, for themes, for holidays, or doing with other cosplay items, like with Ghostbusters, which did sell well. Man, this belt, it just did not sell. Even I was shocked at how few units we sold. I even contacted my friend Natalie Atkins, who was a cosplay model and show actress, to see, I knew she would really get into this, and she did some great work sort of modeling it in kind of very 1966 way, and hoping, hey, maybe if I post these images of Natalie with the belt and the Batarang, it'll help move units. But no, not even the power of Natalie could do this, which, by the way, I heard she recently got engaged. Congratulations, Natalie, if you're watching this video. So excited for you. Anyway, so yeah, this belt was really the item that kind of made Maddie jump the shark, and it was kind of the beginning of the end, one could say. But the whole line was a blast to work on. I'm so grateful for the opportunities. I'm so grateful for getting to meet Adam West and getting to work with Shag and working with Bill and Frank and people who were so passionate about making this be the best line it possibly could be. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed another Bat-tastic episode, and it was some good insight behind the scenes of toy making. If you have suggestions, comments, questions, leave them below. I always comment back. I'll see you in the next video. Subscribe, ring the bell, and thanks again for watching.